So obviously the company was struggling a bit, but when the product launched, how was it received?
And maybe a lot of you will find this out, but if you're doing something really different, either the world's going to go, it's amazing, or they laugh at you. And so that's exactly what happened with the iPod. A few people said it was amazing, and most people said, this is dumb, you're going against Sony, it's a music thing, you know nothing about music. Apple, you're really dead now, right?
So what were the key learnings then from the iPod? If it was laughed at in the beginning and it didn't kind of just make everybody want to buy it right away.
Right. So I think the key learning was it started at General Magic. At General Magic, we could design anything. We had an amazing team to build whatever we could with the technology available at the time. What we learned was we did too much and society wasn't ready for it. So the thing that you have to understand is you need to make sure that not just what you build is interesting and important, but that society can actually adopt it. So back then in 1993, when you're talking about wireless email and online shopping and online gaming and downloadable apps and this thing that and messaging and all this stuff you carry with you, we barely had cell phones in 1993, right? Who had a cell phone in 1993? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, there's very few. I didn't even have one until 95. So my point is society wasn't ready to take on the iPhone 15 years too early. And so what was successful at that time wasn't this great big platform we built, but was simply the Palm Pilot. All that people wanted to do at that time frame was just take their contact and address book with them. That's all they wanted to do, take it off the computer and put it on that was it. So at iPod, what we said was, very clearly, we are going to focus only on the music experience. It's only about consumption. The iPod's only about consumption. All the complicated music stuff will be done only on the Mac. And it was exactly the right time because MP3s were running rampant. People were making CDs with their MP3s, but they didn't know how to get basically lots of songs on it. So it was the perfect time. And then we specifically added features over time. So we added a digital music store. Then we added videos and photos and games. And each time the customer base was ready to accept that. But if we would have came out with the iPod 18th generation the first time, people would go, do I need this? It was about clearly understanding and building that product over time. And then when the iPhone came out, it was email, music, and internet. That's what it was about. A year later, it was about apps. So each time you have to make sure you understand the psychology of where the society is and what they can accept and what they need. And you just take them a little bit beyond it. Don't give them too much too soon, and obviously don't give them too little too late. We had to live or die. Because if we didn't make that Christmas season, no one believed we could make that Christmas season because we started in February, and the team didn't really start until May. So I started in February, team didn't start till May, and we shipped in October. No one believed we could ship in October, November. And so we changed everybody's mind of what could be done. And that gave us the credibility to be able to do the next one and the next one. Because then people go, oh, this is different. So you have to fight upstream sometimes when you're not part of the culture.
I want to now jump to Nest. So what kind of took you from Apple then to Nest? Walk us through that period of time.
Through our experiences going around the world, seeing all these different places, Paris was one place, we were in Igualier, we were in Barcelona, we were on all different places. And so living in these homes and seeing all the problems that they had, and they were the same problems that we had in the US, the same problems that were in Hawaii, all the different places. And I was like, wait a second, there's something wrong here. And so that's when I designed the Nest's thermostat, was during that around the world trip, and actually designed it here in Paris. We were living in the 6e arrondissement, and also did the business plan. And this was in 2009. And then we went back from here to then build Nest, and then ultimately came back here 2 years ago.
So I love that because you're talking about an industry that nobody has touched in ages, a topic that most people really don't care about or know anything about. So how did you really make them care and actually go out and buy a Nest?
For me, I have this term called Virus of Doubt. So whenever we do a marketing messaging plan, I make sure that I understand what the virus of doubt is going to be. So what I would do is I would remember those little points that would be friction or something that was upsetting to me. And you know, you did it a few times and it was upsetting, and at some point you just gave up and you habituated. You just became used to it, and you go, okay, that's the way we do that. And you just like it. So what I try to do, and what we try to do, is create words and language to remind you of those bad events that you kind of repressed, to bring those back to the forefront so that you go, yes, that is a problem, and yes, I remember I hated it. So you come up and you blow up that problem and remind them of how bad it was, or how bad it is still. And that's where you get them hooked. Go, yeah, I hated that thing. So we woke them up about, you know when you get that electric bill and you have no idea where all that money's going? Well, this can fix that. You know how you hate that thing on your wall and you try to hide it because it's ugly? Well, we made it beautiful.
Hi, Tony. I'm Remy Rousseau, the CEO of Mimesis. We are doing holographic communication.
Holographic communication. That sounds interesting. Okay, that's a good hook. I'm interested.
Okay, so yeah, we will leverage depth sensor to basically stream people as hologram all over the world for VR and AR devices.
Oh, okay, got it. Got it.
And my question would be, so you say that the world should be ready for the technology. And how ready is the word for VR and AR, according to you? Especially since everyone is waiting for an iPhone moment.
It's great question. So let me tell you, back when I did the Silicon startup in college, and the educational startup in college, I also did VR in college with Nintendo Power Gloves, if anybody remembers Nintendo Power Gloves, okay? We had VR headsets, and Jaron Lanier was the VR, god of the time, and we went to all the VR conferences. Cyberposium was one thing in San Francisco. Anyways, we all know where that ended up over that 20 years, kind of like that iPhone too soon. We're here now. We've been hearing about VR now for probably 3, maybe 4 years. Besides marketing demos, and maybe some PlayStation games. Really? What's going on? I still think there's a big sociological problem with VR, right? It's great. VR is great for visualization and certain B2B applications for designing and things of that nature, but it's niche. It's not this worldwide phenomenon like everybody wants it to be. I saw it in the 80s. All it is better pixels and better rendering, but it's still the same use model problems. So that's the way I think about VR. I think there's great niche applications for it. On the other hand, AR is going to be much more widely used. There are lots of incredible applications for AR, not proxied AR, but real analog AR, hybrid AR. And I think it's a great place to go, but I think most of the applications are all going to be B2B kinds of applications. Consumer stuff is going to be very difficult because the technology is not there yet, and definitely not at a price point, and it's going to take a long time for consumer AR to actually go anywhere. You hear about Magic Leap, you hear about HoloLens, you hear about that stuff. The technology is still kind of the Apple II days. It's not the Mac days yet.
Hi, I'm Romain from AdvanWorks, a video game studio working on Ipod, iPhone, so thanks. Anyway, my question is, what would be your key learnings you took from your working experience with Steve Jobs? There are not that much people that work with him. So is there any things you remember well, something you learned from him in a personal way or a professional way or something?
I mentioned one, which was, saying no is very powerful and very important. You have to be a very good editor on what should be or should not be in the product, what should be talked about, what shouldn't be. You have to be very clear on when you say yes, but even more clear on when you say no and why. Okay? So saying no is important. Another big one was great marketing speaks only the truth. When there's no such thing as, if it's great marketing, it's just the truth. All you're doing is saying the truth. Like I said, the virus of doubt, you just say the truth. You say what most people have been through. You say the truth and go, yep, right? And if you say the truth all the way along the way, you're going to gain customers for life. Even when it's bad, you tell them the truth. Even if you screw up, you tell them the truth. And you're going to always earn that trust.
So my question for you is, when it comes to building a company, for example, if we have two startups that do the same, what, according to you, will different a startup that will succeed and one that won't? Regarding more about, I don't know, the personality of the people, or is there something that you noticed over the past few years?
Look, you can have tons of people with experience, but they don't have the passion to really understand what a startup is and how much sacrifice it takes to pull it off. You can have lots of inexperienced or experienced people, but who are not coachable. They're not coachable. They don't have mentors around them. They don't listen. They go blindly. That's not a recipe for success. The people that I find are most successful are the ones that are most curious, the ones who know what they want to learn, or want to learn things they don't even know they want to learn yet, which is curiosity. And they're coachable. They understand who to go seek out as experts, their heroes to talk to learn from, and then integrate it into their being.
So today you've talked a lot about technology that no one really understands, and also the importance of finding a product market fit. So what would be your advice to startups who have this groundbreaking technology that no one understands, but that also needs to find their product market fit, need to find their customers?
Well, I think, yeah, that's a great question. So you need to understand, well, first, as entrepreneurs or researchers, you should have a passion for where you want to see this technology be applied, right? Like, oh, I really think it would be cool in this domain or really cool in this domain, and they like that domain, right? So you should go learn about it, understand how big the market is, how you can disrupt it. So you should go first start with where you think are the best places that technology can go, but you have to pick a lane. Most technologists just have this, look at this cool technology, you figure out what it is. That's not how we sell things in the world. You have to figure out what you think is best about it and how you're going to disrupt one lane of the industry and then go after it. And you should know everything about that plus your technology. The technology doesn't sell itself. It's the application, the solution, and the pain killing that you bring, and the technology is the enabler. Merci.
Awesome. Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone, those of you that stayed through your lunch, thank you so much. We'll have more events like this coming up, and welcome to our newest resident.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bonne journée.